Eagle-birdie-eagle to win a championship with a playoff. She was incredible. And the fact that she was sick as well, that she still managed to win, is just doubly impressive.
I think that's what frustrates me more than anything, because when I'm ill, all I want to do is just, lie on the sofa with a little blanket. And last thing you want to do is go out and play golf. Clearly a name to continue to look out for.
Did you see her shot into the rocks? You know what I'm talking about.
It's the only thing I can relate to, hitting into the rocks. I'm like, I know exactly what that's like.
Can I also just give a little mention to Lottie Woad? She's, I think, nearly missed out on about £500,000 worth of prize money just because she's an amateur.
If you're playing in the tournament, why do you not get the money? I just still think that tradition is so cooked.
I read that this is going to be the largest women's sporting event in Wales history.
I'm not quite sure what is in the water down here right now. Women have been taking up golf with gusto.
9 consecutive years without repeating a nation winner.
Yes.
So as the defending champion, Lydia Ko, does not look good for my pick, but I'm still going with Dame Lydia Ko.
Welcome to This Sporting Planet, the world's view of sport. This week from Australia, America, and the UK. This is the show that brings together international voices who are passionate about sport and live and work in the regions where major events are taking place. And after the thrilling conclusion of the Men's Open in golf, we're turning our attention to the women's edition, which follows hot on the heels.
The final women's golf major of the year is heading to Wales for the first time ever, with Lydia Ko looking to defend the title she won at St Andrews 12 months ago. Not to worry you though, Lydia, in the last 9 years, no two players from the same country have won the trophy in consecutive years, let alone the same player themselves.
And much like we've discussed in women's tennis, the field is so open. So we'll do our best to give you all the hints and tips you need, including our predictions in this episode, and we'll discuss why this event has really exploded in size in recent times. That's all coming up on this episode of This Sporting Planet.
Kate Allman here in Australia alongside Natalie Sawyer in the UK and Todd Harris from the USA. And I don't want to brag, you two, but it's been a very good few years for female golfers from my part of the world. New Zealander Lydia Ko won the Women's Open last year, and of the majors this year, Minjee Lee and Mao Sai-go have both emerged victorious. And at the most recent major, the Evian Championship, my favourite, Australian Grace Kim emerged victorious with a wonder shot, a 12-foot eagle during the playoff to beat Ataya Titikun. And so we have a lot of confidence heading into Wales, Natalie. We will come back to our preview of the Women's Open in full shortly. But first, let's reflect on that win for Grace Kim at the Evian. Here she is shortly after winning her first major.
Just a massive tick. Obviously, it's a huge achievement for me. I've had a lot of doubts early this year. I was kind of losing motivation. I kind of had to get some hard conversations done with the team, and kind of had to wake up a little bit. So to be sitting here next to this trophy is definitely surreal. I obviously caught a bit of a cold early this week as well, so I was kind of knowing that I wasn't 100%, but again, even if I'm 80%, I'll give my 100% of that 80. So, and there was no stopping me this week.
Isn't she the best? I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting Grace Kim a couple of times, and she is as nice as she comes across in person, you guys. A beautiful human being, a beautiful golfer. The way she swings is so relaxed and easy. She makes the whole game look simple when, as we know, it is not that at all. Even when she's hidden it into the rocks, she still managed to chip out and birdie. Incredible. And the eagle-birdie-eagle to win a championship with a playoff. She was incredible. So, and the fact that she was sick as well, that she still managed to win, is just doubly impressive.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think that's what frustrates me more than anything, because when I'm ill, all I want to do is just, lie on the sofa with a little blanket and have all the sympathy thrown at me. Last thing you want to do is go out and play golf. So to be able to come through that when you're feeling not 100%, that is mightily, mightily good, and clearly a name to continue to look out for.
I love her swing, and when I see her, and you touched on this, Kate, it's just so smooth. And the word that comes to mind is pure. And yes. I make a transition to American sports. It's like a Ken Griffey Jr. swing at the plate in baseball. It is just, it looks so effortless. Like, I want to do that. I don't care, man, woman, whatever. She has just such a pure swing. And as Natalie pointed out, to be able to do it while you're sick. I mean, whenever I think of someone playing and taking their game to the next level when they're sick. I think of Michael Jordan, the NBA playoffs, and the sick game. And maybe that allows you to focus more on what you're doing and thinking, I got to fall back because I'm sick. But golf is such a mental game, and someone coughing in your backswing can throw you off. And so playing with a cold like that, I mean, tip of the cap to her.
Incredible. 2 playoff holes as well, and the mental resilience. Did you see her shot into the rocks? You know what I'm talking about. And then hitting it back and chipping in, dunking it. Todd, you play golf. Natalie, you've dabbled, I believe.
Dabbled.
But, Todd, this...
It's the only thing I can relate to, hitting you the rocks. I'm like, I know exactly what that's like.
That's exactly what I'm saying. This win was almost like watching everything you love and hate about golf in the same round. She's hitting a beautiful shot one moment and then dunking one into the bunkers and not able to get out of it. 2 hits out to get out of a bunker made her feel like almost she was human like the rest of us. Yeah. And then she would go and eagle the next hole. It was incredible the way that it was sort of so up and down the whole round, but she just kept coming back. And then in the end, it was the mental resilience that got her there. So I just think she's fascinating to watch. Beautiful swing, as you say. Amazing resilience, but her mental game and just her kindness in the way she speaks afterwards, clearly a competitor to watch and someone who's got a lot more to come. She's hung around that top 10, top 20, top 50 for a long time, but I think this is the first of a breakthrough, and we're going to see her right up there next to Minjee Lee, and who I also noticed, beautiful to watch, Minjee Lee is the first one there on the course throwing champagne all over her fellow Australian.
Yeah,
you just love
classy.
to see that.
Yeah. I think I like to call her, she's one of these athletes I like to call a metronome athlete. It's just, it doesn't matter if she's sick, the conditions, it's just metronome. It just keeps going. And getting out of a bunker, we've all been there. Man. Most of us have been there before. It's like, I just gonna go ahead and pick the ball up and walk off the course and go home. But it's something I've never had, is the intestinal fortitude to mentally block all that out and just focus on what I am doing. And she did that, didn't worry about the crowd, didn't think, oh my gosh, this is gonna be an epic collapse. I'm throwing this away. Just play my game, metronome and beautiful swing, Shazam. Good for her.
Can I also just give a little mention to Lottie Woad, from England, 21 years old, who's having a fantastic year, we have to say, playing golf. But she's an amateur. So obviously isn't entitled to all of the sort of prize money that you can earn that she has been racking up of late. I mean, she's, I think, nearly missed out on about £500,000 worth of prize money just because she's an amateur, which I still can't get my head around. I sort of think, well, if you're in the tournament, you're invited to play in the tournament, you've qualified for the tournament, you should be able to earn some money out of it, no? But anyway, them the rules, and that's what we stick to. But she's been really impressive. It goes back to last year as well. She's won the Augusta Women's Amateur National in 2024. Is actually ranked the #1 amateur in the world at time of recording. We'll head to Wales to the British Open, having won the Irish Open this month, most recently tied for 3rd at the Evian Championship as well. She just missed out, actually, and obviously getting into that playoff as well. And as a result of everything that she's achieved, she's now earned the right to play on the LPGA because she's earned her tour card. But it's a question of, does she do it? Does she take that option up now? She can defer it, or does she stay? And she's got, I think she's at Florida State University, so she's got one more year to complete, Todd. And it's that conundrum of, what does she do?
I think this is a problem, and America's a strange place, and I say that as a proud American, because the word amateur in sports seems to be now, it's a foregone, it's gone. There's no more amateur. And I've got to think that there's some way at Florida State, which is a major athletic department, she's got to be earning what we call NIL money.
Yes.
Name, image, and likeness. And so I'm thinking there's someone in Florida going to say, hey, we'd like your face, or we'd like to put your name on a car wash or something and get her some money, which is completely legal, to see her make up. Because I feel terrible for her, because as you pointed out, that's a lot of money to give up at a young age, and nothing's guaranteed. I mean, she's got a bright future, but man, oh man, just saying, oh yeah, by the way, you don't get any of that prize money because you're an amateur. I don't know if that sits well with me.
Yeah, and if she defers her membership until 2026, that's a big year with the Solheim Cup as well, just around the corner. I'm sure you're right, Todd. I'm sure there is some big brand that, if they haven't already, are going to be paying her big nil money. And some of the college athletes in various sports, I know the women's basketballers are getting paid more potentially in nil than they will get in their first round, their rookie year contract. Right. So there's a lot of money to be had. I don't know if it's going around as much in golf, but it certainly should be for players like that. But it is that interesting thing that I still struggle with at golf. Like amateur, if you're playing in the tournament and you are there competing against everyone else and you have beaten the others, why do you not get the money? I just still think that tradition is so cooked, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very backwards, but it does mean she's got, a lot of conversations to have with her family, with her team at Florida State University as well, just to discuss what is next for her. But like you say, it's a big year 2026. Yeah, I'm sure she'll want to be part of the European Solheim team if she can get on it. But as I mentioned, she's going to be heading to the Women's Open at Royal Porthcawl, which is in Wales. And if you're not quite sure where it's situated, it's in between, it's pretty much bang in the middle between Swansea and Cardiff on the South Wales coast. It is a beautiful venue. As you can imagine, it's a links golf course, so it's going to be really, really testing. And pretty much every hole is, it faces that in terms of the golf course itself, it takes up all the compass points when it comes to the different holes, etc. So you're going to be tested wherever you're at on this course. It has held the amateur championships before, the Walker Cup, which featured a very young Tiger Woods. There was the Curtis Cup. It's also had the Senior Open there a few times. But in terms of the Open for both men and women, this is the first time it's going to host the Women's Open, which is fabulous to see. It, as I say, sounds idyllic, but it is going to be very, very difficult with all those shifting winds that you've got to take into account. But we're excited for it, like we were mentioning in our previous podcast about the Rugby Women's World Cup. This one is massive as well, because we're seeing more and more, Kate, of our big tournaments being staged at golf courses and venues that have been more aligned, obviously, with the men's game too.
Yeah, and it's fantastic to see. Last year, we had the Open at St Andrews, which is obviously such an iconic place. The birthplace of golf, in fact, is what they believe, that the shepherds were hitting, pieces of rabbit poo or whatever around with sticks, and they were getting it in holes, and that was the first links golf course. So now, and that actually is an interesting story in itself, because St Andrews was a club that didn't even allow women to be members until a decade ago. And in a short time, relatively speaking, we've been able to progress the women's game to a point where we're now playing at St Andrews, we're playing at Porthcawl, we're playing in places that I can't pronounce the accents and I don't understand what they're saying, which is a good sign. It means that we're getting up there. And I am so thrilled to see all the prize money, all the hype going upwards, everything trending in the right direction for women's golf, because realistically, I find golf one of those games like tennis and like a number of other sports where the women's game, the only difference you might see is slightly less length on the drive. But we all know golf, the drive really is a minor part of the final game. And the more exciting parts of golf are the finesse and the skill to chip a shot onto the green in the right spot and to get out of hazardous places like the bunkers, to get over lakes when you need to. And the golf is really more of the puzzle in sorting your way around the golf course than necessarily driving. So women's golf deserves just as much respect as the men's game, and I'm so glad to see we are getting it. Plus, the women players, I believe, have so many interesting stories, and they are so amenable to interviews. They're so generous with their time. I mean, I was at the Australian Open when I was in Sydney a couple of years ago, and I was literally walking around talking to the players as they were putting, and Grace Kim would be there taking photos with the little kids, little boys getting their hats signed, which is the cutest thing to see. I find the women are still so grateful for any media coverage they receive, and they continue to bring that through the game. It just creates incredible stories, and it makes it really a watchable, likable tournament.
Hey, Lauren Coughlin, friend of the show. She was on This Sporting Planet, so we love her. We always cheer for her. And Natalie, I have to ask you this, and I read that this is going to be the largest women's sporting event in Wales history, which, if that's true, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it is. It's helping to put Wales on the map. Would you consider that the men's open has never been in Wales? They've never had that before. So again,
Really?
this is giving it.
Oh, wow.
I believe so. I believe that is correct. It doesn't go to Wales. It obviously does Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England, but I don't think it's ever gone to Wales. So this in itself is just a huge momentum, or moment, I should say, for Wales. The slight difference with this one, it might not have the pomp and the tradition that we see at men's tournaments. Let's say it perhaps is a bit more live golf, shall we say, festival vibes to it, which I think is necessary to kind of encourage the youngsters, like you've just been mentioning there, Kate, seeing young golf fans wanting autographs. It's one way to include them, to have like your live music and all different options available, just to ensure that you might not want to, walk around the course for a whole day, but you can take it and leave it. You can go out and enjoy some of the food and whatever else is being put on for you, but then go back and watch the golf as and when. And I love all of that. And that just adds, hopefully, again, new viewers, new eyes on the sport, and encourages that fan base.
It makes it so accessible, doesn't it? And without that kind of drive forward into the future and into younger generations, getting women involved in golf required breaking down barriers and traditions. Getting young people involved in golf is still a process, but it is gradually occurring. And I think the way that we do that and the way we continue to make golf relevant to more fans around the world is to try out these new formats. And hey, live golf turns out to be very popular among those younger generations and among women and among non-traditional golf fans. So if that is what we're going to do to increase the popularity of women's golf, I'll love it. I'll have it.
Yeah, anything to improve it. Fantastic. I guess I have a question for Kate. Why do you think women's golf has taken off so much, especially in your part of the world? I look at some of the top Americans, obviously, with Nelly, Korda, Lydia Vu. We talked about Lauren Coughlin, friend of the show, Rose Zhang, Lexi Thompson. Great names there. But, man, you look down to Australia and Korea, Thailand. There are some really good female golfers coming to that part of the world. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's incredible right now, isn't it? I mean, Minjee Lee, we've got Hannah Green, we've got Grace Kim, Lydia Ko over in New Zealand. A lot of them have an Asian background. Actually, Lydia Ko is half Korean, half New Zealand. But I'm not quite sure what is in the water down here right now. Women have been taking up golf with gusto. I've noticed it at a groundswell sort of level in golf courses around where I play. I mean, I only got into it 5 or 6 years ago. And increasingly, where you would never see women on the course, there are women marching around just as often as men, and older people as well. I don't know what it is about our region, but I think there is a strong tradition of golf in Asia, and we are obviously close to Asia. There's a lot of great golf courses in Singapore and in Korea, and I think it's encouraged among their women to play golf from a very young age. Some of these players, I know Lydia Ko was a superstar when she was like 12, 15 years old, similarly to Minjee and some of the others. So I think that Asian tradition of having really good golfers and the women playing just as often as the men and with the men has been important in that evolution. And as it continues, it is filtering into Australia and New Zealand because we're so close.
Well, let's chat to someone now who will be in Wales for the Women's Open and will be the caddy for British star Cara Gaynor and knows the LPGA Tour inside and out, Harry Ewing. Harry, it feels like the Women's Open has been on a fast upward trajectory in the last few years. How do you think it has changed?
Yeah, it's amazing, really, when you think next week, like we're going to an iconic venue first and foremost in Royal Porthcawl. And over as long as I can remember over these most recent years, I think the RNA and obviously with their association with AIG have really elevated this event to be something very special. We go to the most iconic golf courses. In my first couple of years of caddying, I wasn't fortunate enough to be on a bag to caddy in a Women's Open. That changed last year, and what a very special place to caddy my first one in the home of golf in St Andrews. That was an amazing week just to be there. And I've been to St Andrews many times, dating back as far as probably the year 2000. I've been there to see Jack Nicklaus finish his career. I've been there to see Tom Watson finish his career. But to actually walk down the middle of the fairways and caddy and have some input with a player, that's a different vibe altogether. And like I said, you look at the venues, you look at the prize fund, in which the way they've elevated the prize fund. The
Right.
prize fund has tripled in the last 5 or 6 years. And that's amazing to give these women professionals the chance to compete for that much prize money. So there's so much around the event next week. Like, I look forward to it in so many ways. The way they take care of everyone, players and caddies. They build a purpose-built clubhouse facility and
Hmm.
dining. There's childcare for players. There's massage therapists. There's ping pong tables for the caddies. The catering is off the charts, next level. How well they look after us from like 5 o'clock in the morning, and you can still get food in the dining of the clubhouse up till 10 o'clock at night. So
Wow.
there's no stone left unturned with what they're doing, and I think, look, it's fantastic, and you can see. The players really, really appreciate it, and we're starting to see high profile the ladies' game is now. It's attracting big sponsors, and rightly so. We want to see the women start to play for more akin to what the men are playing for. And
Sure.
I think really a huge reason why I like and enjoy caddying on the ladies' tour so much is a lot of us and a lot of male golfers, a lot of women golfers feel that the ladies' game is arguably more in tune or more aligned to how most amateur golfers play golf. The men's game has gone so far ahead with the distance that they hit the
Yeah.
ball, and it's kind of gone too far from most amateurs golfers' reach. I think if you're sitting down watching the TV and you see Lydia Ko in St Andrews last year, and she's hitting a 7 iron into one of the iconic par threes, and it's 150 or 160 yards, you're
You can
sitting
relate
on
to
the
that.
couch thinking, you know what, I could probably do that, and that kind of inspires you as well, I think,
You covered all the important stuff at the Open coming up, and we talked about catering, ping pong, the whole thing. But who should we be looking out for this year's Women's Open? And will we see a home favorite possibly emerge victorious?
Yeah, well, look, interesting. I was kind of having a look at this for a reason of, yeah, trying to find an angle. I know people love to have a little bit of an angle, and maybe they're going to have a little side bet with a pal or their golfing buddies, and trying to see. There's one girl that plays on the LET, a lovely kid. She's only out here recently, Darcy Harry. She's a local girl from Royal Porthcawl. She won in Belgium a few weeks ago, and that booked her ticket into the AIG Women's Open. So that in itself is a great story. She's playing in her home course
Right.
in her second major. She played in Evian a few weeks ago, but that's a great story. So we'll have to keep an eye on how Darcy does. But the trends, or we'll call them trends, it's very unusual to get someone to win an AIG Women's Open at their first attempt, especially on these iconic links courses. Typically, it takes a bit of time to kind of play these championships and learn the nuances of links golf, because I'm sure we're going to have a bit of wind down there, and there's
Right.
good bounces and bad bounces on links golf. So, when you look at Lydia Ko last year, it took her 12 times to play in the Women's Open before she won one. And that's one of the very best players in the world, and now Hall of Fame player. So it takes a bit of learning. And the previous year in 2023, Lydia Vu won, having only played in one previously. So that was a bit of an outlier. But typically you need someone that has played in it at least a few times. Georgia Hall, when she won in 2018, had played in 5 previous Opens. So I'm not giving you an answer here, but you're looking for an answer. Like, Lottie will be very interesting to see how Lottie gets on. She's on such a curve, and confidence in golf is a very dangerous thing, and she has it in bucket loads right now. So that will be a really interesting watch. Our own Leona Maguire from Ireland has come into form recently since the KPMG. She finished 7th in Evian. Leona's kind of picking back up a little bit of form, loves links golf, so I think she could be definitely one to keep an eye on. But let me give you 2 other names. Julia Lopez Ramirez, a Spanish girl, did unbelievably well in the US Open earlier in the summer. Absolutely bombs the ball. If anyone can get out and watch her a little bit next week, serious striker of the ball, hits it pretty much 300 yards off the tee.
Wow.
She finished 29th in the Open last year, so she had a good showing and already has that experience under her belt. And then someone else, Andrea Lee, an American, has played very well in the Open the last 2 years. She finished 9th in St Andrews last year and just inside the top 30 the previous year. So look, I could throw so many names at you, Todd. It's a difficult one predicting professional golf, but 6 of the last 10 winners had recorded at least one victory in the year prior to winning their Women's Open. So usually it's a kind of player that's, has some form coming in, or has maybe previously won a tournament in the previous year or two. It's very hard rock out and do like Sofia Popov did a few years ago and suddenly win one having not won before.
Talking about the players, what do you think countries in Asia are getting right at the moment? Because they're producing such good talent right now.
Yeah, they are. And if I knew that, I could maybe go back to my coaching days and bottle a bit of that information. But yeah, it's massively impressive. And you see it, like I caddy on the LPGA out in America primarily, and you can see how many Asians are out there playing and really coming to the fore at the top of the game. So I think, yeah, a lot of it is that they start out at a very young age. We can have two opinions on that, whether we think it's, a bit of a, sheltered childhood or not, but like they come out ready to win as soon as they turn pro. A lot of the Asians don't actually even go and do collegiate golf. They actually turn pro at the age of 17 or 18 and are out at that such a young age. And you'll find what a lot of them tend to do is they might play for 10 years and then they'll actually retire very early, partly because they're nearly burnt out from playing 10 years on tour is probably the lifespan of doing this career. But yeah, it's a really interesting one. You look at, even for next week, the countries with the most wins. Yes, America has 12 wins of this championship from 9 different players, but right up there is Koreans. They have 6 wins as well. So like, we're looking for trends or whatever. The English, in fairness, have 8 wins, and like I said, Georgia back in 2018, but they're probably crying out for another English winner. Would be amazing.
And if you want to hear my entire interview with LPGA caddy Harry Ewing, go to This Sporting Planet's YouTube channel.
So we get to prediction time, Natalie? Is that what time it is? Because I'm feeling right now pretty confident in not just Lydia Ko, but the full name, Dame Lydia Ko. So with a name like that, how do I go against her? Just 28 years of age. Obviously, she lives in Florida, but as Kate pointed out, she's got a passport that's stamped everywhere. The great thing about her is she knows how to play under pressure. And at just 28 years of age, she seems so seasoned. Let's not forget, she has a full set of Olympic medals. She's got the gold, the silver, and the bronze. So I'm putting my money and my name, big stretch here, I know, Dame Lydia Ko for the win.
Glad you've given her the honour of referring to her by her dame hood as well. That needs to be mentioned, absolutely. Oh gosh, I mean, you've gone for a good one there with her. But I actually, a name that you pronounce so wonderfully well, Ataya Titakun, is someone I am certainly looking out for. Currently in the world number 2. She is consistently, featuring at the top end of leaderboards. Alone this year, she's had 13 starts, but has made, I think, 8 top 10 finishes. Only missed 1 cut this year. Okay, she's only won 1 tournament so far this year, but most recently there is a runner-up at the last major, that Evian Championship. When it comes to the Open, she's tied 7th. I think that's her best finish. So, in terms of, there's a bit of improvement needed, clearly, but that was in 2022. And I just think 2025 has been pretty decent for her. So I'm going for her. I think she's the one to look out for. But I've already mentioned Lottie Woad as well. I think she is definitely someone that we should just keep an eye out for, just because she's a fabulous story.
I think this one's going to come down to weather, you guys. And anyone who plays in Wales or in Scotland and St Andrews, they say the courses can be totally different depending on the weather. If we have a nice dry few days and a week beforehand and the course is dry, I got my money on Nelly Korda. Now, she's obviously number 1 in the world, USA, but she hasn't secured a win yet in 2025. And she's been incredibly consistent, like 4 top 10 finishes, including 2 top 5s in her 9 starts. She's leading the LPGA Tour in scoring average. She's always a strong contender, and I think she's really hungry for that win this year. So Nelly Korda, my number 1, That's if it's dry. If it's wet, the thing's going to go chaos. I'm actually looking at a local. If it's wet and windy and Wales, keep your eye out for Mimi Rhodes from England. She's currently leading the LET Tour Order of Merit with 3 wins this season. She's had really strong form in Europe, and I think she could be a dark horse. If the conditions are favourable to locals, look out for the English and the Welsh girls.
This does not bode well for my pick, but 9 consecutive years without repeating a nation winner.
Yes.
So as the defending champion, Lydia Ko, does not look good for my pick, but I'm still going with Dame Lydia Ko.
Well, and also what's interesting as well, that in terms of the majors, it's a bit like the women's tennis and what was happening at Wimbledon. We had 8th year in a row, a different winner at Wimbledon. It's similar with women's golf right now. It seems that there's no one that's able to capitalise. You know, we always talk about Scotty Scheffler, although obviously he hasn't won every single major, but it feels like the women's game is so much more open right now. So it is a really difficult one to call. And you're right to bring in the conditions and the testing links course. That's all going to play a massive part in this one.
Well, sadly, that's it for this episode. Make sure to subscribe to the show via your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode. Make sure to leave us a review as well, as long as it's nice. Remember, on Spotify, you can now watch our episodes as well and listen to them. Let us know what you think.
Plus, if you're watching this on YouTube, get involved in the discussion in the comments. We'd love to hear what you thought of everything we discussed in this podcast.
We'll be back on Friday, the 1st of August with, get this, a bumper Premier League preview because it's back. It's not long until the football is properly back. There's a lot been going on, as you can imagine, over this summer, from surprise transfers to new teams joining the league and everything in between as well. It'll be your one-stop shop to get ready for the new season. So until then, from myself, Kate, Todd, and the whole This Sporting Planet team, thanks very much for listening.